2019, the Wednesday Night Wars, Thanksgiving edition, the night before Thanksgiving, as it were. NXT versus AEW Dynamite. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I am joined by Mr. Matt Morgan and Raj Giri, filling in for Justin LaBar. And, interesting night tonight, Matt. Who do you think had a better show?
AEW.
Yeah.
And largely in part, it was a good show. It was a great show, good matches, some of them. Wasn't a fan of, again, their women's direction that they're going in. If you look at the rankings tonight, you're like, oh. But the Chris Jericho segment was incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, I think as a just in ring, I thought it was NXT tonight. But again, Jericho, that opening segment, the only thing that hurt it was the audio being on. They were having audio issues with the way I don't know if they mic'd it wrong or the audio wasn't coming through the mic. It was like
with what I heard him. You
can hear him, but it was like muffled. It was like it wasn't clear. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a direct mic to. The
I didn't have that.
Direct.
I didn't feel I had that problem. The only thing that was weird, it wasn't weird. It was just his dad has never probably talked into a mic before. Was his dad? You couldn't hear parts like he was talking too low. But that on my end, watching it on the screen, that's all I caught.
Yeah, I thought. But yeah, to your point, I thought that was great, and I thought the ending was great with Jericho and Moxley. NXT, I thought it was really good too. I mean. Again, a lot of times the look of the show makes the difference for me. Just ease, the ease of visibility, the ease to watch it. And
the other thing about it is they were in Chicago, right? And I was dreading Chicago for them, thinking like, oh my God, this city's burnt to the ground as far as, how excited goes. What we heard tonight was pretty damn impressive, I thought. Because again, this is a tired fan base for the most part, wrestling fans, and they were pretty damn loud, I thought. And again, the way they kicked the show off is super strong, super entertaining. The storylines are frigging gelling now. They're starting to flow. And it was good. Even the opening segment, at the end of it, it did what? It got over those baby faces.
Yeah.
It got over SCU as well. And, that's the important stuff. Sometimes in WWE, the guys would just get heat and then it'd be entertaining, and the heel ends up getting cheered, and then the thing would be done with. The friendship between him and Kevin Owens, for instance, they're supposed to be heels. Mm-hmm. How do you boo that? You got to cheer it because it was entertaining. Tonight, the fans were starting to cheer a little bit, but then what happened? Who got the bigger reaction as far as pop goes for cheering? The three baby faces that came in and cleaned house as SCU. That was very important detail that I know for a fact Jericho put that in there.
Yeah, I want to take a moment, Matt. Your burnt to the ground comment might be a little insensitive. I want to apologize to any victims of the Great Chicago Fire of 1871 if you misinterpreted Matt's comment as somehow making light of your situation.
The fuck are you talking about?
With society we live in, Matt, we got to just be clear. We got to be very sensitive to things.
Dude, I'm in politics now, so I don't even play around with that shit. Continue.
No, it was just for a second. So, wasn't there a famous fire in Chicago? Yes, there was.
Just
50 years ago.
But yeah, this was the fifth show in a 7-day period between SmackDown, TakeOver, Survivor Series, Raw, and tonight. And to your point, after all that wrestling, they were still able to be alive, man. Because I'm tired, after the last 5 nights. But they were hot. Nick, our managing editor, Nick Hausman, went to all 5 nights, and so he's there.
I thought the Jericho thing was great tonight opening, Matt, but did it seem to you like too reminiscent of the Festival of Friendship?
I mean, sure, we definitely make that connection. I thought, though, again, what I pointed out, the difference here was old school wrestling 101 booking. You can do all that cutesy shit. You could be entertaining as the heel, sure, but there better be a payoff. And they gave them the payoff with the baby faces, whereas before, that really wouldn't happen with Festival of Friends. It was super entertaining. And we would just cheer for KO and Chris Jericho. We'd like, this is the best part of the show. And that's all we would say.
KO murdered Jericho at the end of that. Right?
At the end of the storyline, not in the same night.
That segment. the end of Festival of Friendship. Remember, he murdered
Didn't
Jericho.
he do? Oh, why do I think that these guys did it like multiple weeks? They did
No,
like,
it was just the one.
stuff in the ring together, grab ass with each other in the ring, like multiple in-ring promos like that. I thought.
Well, I mean, they had the storyline going, but the Festival of Friendship was just that one night.
One night? Okay. Then yeah.
But
So
I thought this was, to your point, Matt, I thought this was great. I liked the main event, but I thought everything in between was just
They put too much time. No offense to the girls again, but they're not showcasing, in my opinion, the proper girls.
and not just that, but
They give them too much time on top of it.
Cody being attacked by Braxton Sutter and
good lord,
and gosh, I'm forgetting the other guy's name.
Yeah.
No one knew who they were, even though Braxton Sutter, did have his time in TNA. He is married to Allie. They didn't explain if they're playing off the Awesome Kong attacking, Brandy Rhodes attacking Allie. If they're playing off of that, they didn't explain it at all on commentary. Pac versus. Okay, we'll get to it.
Let's go segment by segment and start with a bookend high point of AEW tonight, which was indeed Chris Jericho's Thanksgiving thank you celebration, kicking off the show with Jericho and Soul Train Jones in the ring, along with a portrait of the Inner Circle, some goofy mascots dancing outside the ring. On the ramp is a marching band as Jericho, with a title in hand and a little bit of the bubbly, heads into the ring. He's joined by Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz. He announces that they're going to be selling officially. They've got a website selling their own champagne at a little bit of the bubbly.com. Was that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Doing that, there are some gifts. Sammy Guevara gives him a big standee of Jericho and Sammy. We get the Puerto Rican flag bandana, which was put around Jericho's head. He gets a gift basket with various accoutrements, and he is wondering where Jake Hager is. Jake Hager walks out with an actual goat, Chris Jericho, and then inside the box we get Chris Jericho's dad, New York Ranger himself, which getting a little bit of heat there. The tide turning from the audience, of course, being a Blackhawks town in Chicago. And yeah, this, as Matt said, this all really built up until we got SCU attacking Jericho out of nowhere. But first, Justin Roberts did come to the ring and read an official thank you letter from AEW and TNT Brass. Jericho decided he didn't like his tone during the reading of it, so Jericho and the Inner Circle beat Justin Roberts down, and then SCU were disguised as a marching band. They started beating up everyone, clearing out the Inner Circle, and taking out Soul Train Jones.
Kind of taking Soul Train Jones out.
Well, can anyone really take him out fully? I mean,
Virgil's all kinds of messed up. It was super entertaining. Like we said, I think we covered it. I thought this was super strong. And again, layers to storylines and characters. Sammy Guevara, you could see getting more and more comfortable week by week. He's going to be a star.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned this on Twitter. When I first started watching wrestling, Virgil was a regular on TV, and 31 years later, and he doesn't look that much older than 31 years ago. And there he is taking bumps. I love the segment. Matt, if you go back and listen to it, the only thing with the audio was that it sounded like how you'd hear it in the arena, as opposed to. But I think they fixed it towards the end. But it was Jericho again, the best thing of the show.
I'm just surprised because that's a Keith Mitchell deal, and you know what I mean. For them to be playing that, and I'm gonna go back and listen to it again. But I'd be very surprised because he's really good. Yeah,
and this was the only segment I noticed it on. It seemed like it was fixed later on with DDP and MJF.
But not the ring noise, the mic rolling around under the ring there.
What's that?
Mm-hmm. So if you have really good low end on your home theater system, or you listen on headphones to the show, which many people do when they're dual screening it, you could hear that every time somebody stomped on the ring, like an echo. It sounded like the ring mic was had like this reverb on it. It was very distracting during a lot of the matches. Other people complain about it on Twitter, but I guess it depends entirely on your sound system at home. Anyhow, I think there's still some production hiccups. I mean, the show was this week 9 of AEW, but you can definitely see they're still figuring out some things as they go.
It was interesting. AEW and NXT both starting off with a long promo. That's very WWE style. But this was more entertaining, more natural.
Yeah.
So after that, we had the Best Friends come out to the ring with Orange Cassidy, and in a turkey outfit. couldn't believe it. Getting into the spirit of Thanksgiving, attacked by the Lucha Bros on the ramp, Pentagon and Phoenix with stereo super kicks. Once the match started, it was kind of crazy. I mean, just this, I don't know. When you saw Orange Cassidy in the turkey outfit, as someone who is sort of a fan of his career, how do you think? Yeah.
I didn't like it. I think he'd be too bothered with the energy it would take to put that damn thing on. That's his character.
Yeah. It reminded me because he bears a passing resemblance, but especially in that turkey suit, I was like, this is Heath Slater. They're making him the Heath Slater.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would always give WWE crap with putting the pumpkins on the heads of, Gallus and Anderson. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what they did here.
This was lame.
Yeah.
They did enough Thanksgiving theme with Jericho stuff, I thought. Plenty enough. Enough to say this is a night before Thanksgiving episode,
Yeah.
So this was a relatively quick match and ended up with the Best Friends winning via pinfall.
Which I don't get. I do not get that. Awesome match. I love the match. But, dude, I do not get this. I don't get why Young Bucks and these guys, Lucha Brothers, the two best tag teams in the world, I don't give a I don't care what the record says. They are. And they're the worst teams. Like, they damn near continue to lose. And these guys don't. One of the two looks incredibly good. I watched his match versus Kenny Omega. What's his name? The two guys we're talking about. No, the guys we're talking about versus Lucha Brothers tonight.
Oh, Chuck Taylor or
no, definitely not
Beretta?
Chuck Taylor. Yes, him. He's the only one that's presentable. Chuck Taylor is not presentable to me. I'm being honest. He's okay, but there's a big discrepancy. There's a big drop off between Trent Beretta and him. And I'm watching Lucha Brothers do the job to him. It doesn't look right to me.
I just feel like you got to protect your top guys. When I think of your top teams, it's the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, and then SCU. Honestly, as far as real star power, and they're beating these guys all. And they did the same thing with Pac tonight. If you're going to have everyone at 50-50 with their wins and losses, then what's the point of having
they waited too
record?
They waited too long to get. Like, Kenny desperately needed this. But by the same token, he desperately needed it because you guys booked it that way over the last few weeks. You guys had him lose. Yeah. There's no reason to do that. Kenny Omega should be freaking undefeated. Moxley should be damn near undefeated. All of them, those two guys should. The two tag teams we just said damn near should. Maybe one loss at most.
All right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Pac already had they booked him so strong by having him submit, Omega earlier this summer, and to book him that strongly, beating Page, and then to just come and lose like 2 matches this month, it just kind of undoes all that.
Definitely does.
It's 50-50. We give WWE crap all the time.
And this has been short enough it's 50-50 even just between Omega versus Pac.
Right.
I mean, because it wasn't that long ago that Omega lost to him. Mm-hmm. It's been close enough to where we can say, yes, this is 50-50 booking there.
Yeah.
I felt like tonight's episode, AEW definitely, NXT as well. This felt like a very YouTube highlights show. If you missed either show this week,
except for Jericho's
segment was good, but you can go watch
that. You can't highlight that. I tried to watch it again, and they screwed up all Soul Man Jones' comments and stuff. Whatever the hell's his name, Soul Train Jones.
Yes,
you got to watch that in its entirety. But the rest of it, you're right. It could have been highlight worthy.
Yeah, I thought this. Yeah, for sure. I thought this was the weakest episode of Dynamite so far.
And for people saying, "Oh, this is just hating on AEW," there's going to be some criticism on NXT, at least for me, when we get to that segment as well, because I think they had some flaws tonight as well. So Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander versus Bea Priestley and Emi Sakura in a women's tag match.
I don't care about them.
Yeah, I mean, just don't do it. Just don't have a women's division if you're not going to book it properly. Give us characters, give us stories, give us promos, give us something.
Or don't put them out there for so long. Introduce them, have them get their wins, have the matches be shorter, but this just went way too long to where I just didn't care by the end. I didn't care who won, who lost. They haven't. To your point, Glenn, they haven't been really presenting a lot of these women well, except for Britt Baker.
Give me her 20. Okay, you want to pull a 15-minute segment? put Britt Baker in there versus a formidable opponent, and she better go over. Like for now, there isn't episode 9. Your first episodes are incredibly important. You're setting the table for fans that have come back to watch wrestling, because make no mistake, there are fans that came back to see wrestling back on TNT and got caught up in that as well and came back to give it a test and sample. So that was your chance. Have Kenny Omega look like $1 million to make Moxley look the way he looks, which they did at first. Jericho as well, that's obvious. But Lucha Brothers, Young Bucks, they're the ones that these fans don't know. And now do, and then they see him in losing fashion for these first so many episodes. It's a bad idea. No one's going to give you guys crap because you're executive VPs and you're booking yourselves to win. So what? If you guys suck, that would be one thing, but nobody thinks you guys suck. So it's okay in your case to do this. Be greedy. The company needs you to be greedy, boys.
Right. And this audience, the TV audience, the majority, a big portion of them don't know who they are yet, or don't know who they are that well. And by seeing them the first time out, seeing them lose all the time, it just hurts the product. So Young Bucks should be winning all the time. Yes. Omega should be winning. And then when they finally lose, it's a big deal.
Yes.
And I hate to say that what overshadowed this a little bit tonight, JR getting in on some of the Cornette action.
Read this really quick first.
The Dark OPZ is saying War Games did Britt Baker better than AEW tonight. Hashtag.
Damn.
Yeah.
That was strong.
Yeah.
Very well played. Go ahead. Sorry.
So JR caught himself misspeaking tonight and corrected it. I think that, it was a hiccup, but whatever it is, what it is.
I forget. What did he say?
He referred to, why am I blanking on her name?
I don't remember.
On Emi Sakura. He referred to her as Freddie Mercury, the Oriental version, and he corrected himself quickly and said Asian.
Yeah.
Which I think for AEW, though, the pressure is on more so because they've presented themselves as a woke alternative, as a more progressive alternative to other wrestling promotions.
Don't you think, though, stopping and correcting it right, Johnny, on the spot, though, kind of shows that
absolutely
that are watching and that shit ain't going to fly on their show? They'll catch it immediately. Versus these other companies that will take like weeks on end before they decide to say something.
And I give them credit for that.
And they only say something because they get caught or they get called out.
Yeah.
Is a legitimate, oh crap, I can't say those types of things anymore. Damn, my bad. You know what I mean?
JR seems like he has better chemistry with Tony Schiavone. He seems like he doesn't like the product as much when Excalibur's there.
And he doesn't seem to like Excalibur.
Exactly. I think that just makes him more. There are times in this, and we'll get to it. There are times in the show where he just seemed like he did not give a F.
So is that okay? Some of the matches I don't like, I do like. I am entertained by Jim Ross.
His grumpy old madness.
Getting annoyed with Excalibur and his big. I rewind it and listened to it again. I think it's fucking hilarious. I do. I think it's hilarious that he calls them out on it. He's like, dude, stop saying these huge words that wrestling fans probably haven't even heard of. Like, stop. You're like friggin' Matt Stryker. Settle down.
It's not with Perineum. That was a good one.
That's the one I rewound it for. I fought for it. I love Jim Ross.
Yeah.
There is something about having the get off my lawn guy watching these guys.
Maybe I'm getting old. I think it's hilarious.
I like their commentary team, but he does seem in a better mood when Tony Schiavone's there.
But it's a fine line, though, because you never want it to become Mystery Science Theater, and they're just essentially making fun of the talent that's in the ring to try and amuse themselves.
No, I don't think that's the point. But JR, I just think he can't help himself with certain things.
To be fair, yes. Think about it. You're Jim Ross. You're a Hall of Fame announcer. You've seen all these great matches that you've helped get over. Let's be clear. He's helped a lot of those Stone Cold matches, Rock's matches, Taker's match, Shawn Michaels, on and on and on. He helped tell those stories. Let's be clear. He's a part of that. And so to go from that to these kids selling 59,000 DDTs and pop it up doing 10 jumping jacks. Well, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a wrestling purist that's in him, obviously, and he can move with the times. He's showing us he can. But by the same token, like, how do you just ignore it after a while? If you're being told, be you, be who you are, call this as you would call it. That is what he would do. That's what I would do even. And I'm, no Hall of Fame announcer.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely would have to whisper after a while, guys, I'm begging one of you to sell. Like, That would there's no way after 9 episodes I couldn't get it in once.
Well, it's kind of like Joey Ryan, right? I know a lot of people like it, and if that's your thing, that's your thing. But if I can't act, if I'm on the commentator booth, I can't act like someone selling it is hurting them, or that when Ken Shamrock is selling the penis flip, I can't on commentary act like Ken Shamrock's really getting hurt, or this is something that I enjoy, or I think is.
I think your best bet is, if that was me in commentary, I'd lay out.
Yeah.
Good luck with this, Excalibur.
It sounds so much worse when you use the scientific term for it, Raj.
The
penis flip?
Oh,
the little general flip.
I like that a little better. I think that's kind of nice.
Yeah. LG? The huge erection flip.
Anyhow, Emi Sakura and Bea Priestley won that via pinfall tonight. Backstage, we got a Jon Moxley promo talking about how he's blazing a trail. He's napalm death as he runs through the AEW roster.
I like this. This was good.
Short and sweet. Yeah. Moxley, he's great.
I'll say this about AEW. I feel like they've listened to the fan criticism, even our criticism on this podcast. They're doing more promos now. They're doing more character work. It's not just about in-ring action, and I think that is really helping the show.
You probably had as much promo time tonight as you did on SmackDown,
And can I say something real quick? This is why it's ultra imperative that guys like Young Bucks, again, Omega, I'll go back to, need wins, because until they start to tell the story of their characters, because we still don't have that yet. We have with some of these other people, we don't really have it with all of them yet. Right? So that's why those wins mean even more. Because, okay, maybe you can't get behind them enough if you're a new fan, rather. You don't know who the Young Bucks are. You don't know who Omega is, right? You can at least get behind, holy crap, Jim Ross, Hall of Fame announcer, just said these dudes are like 4-0, 5-0, undefeated, best tag team in the country, or in the world, rather. That lends super credibility to them, big time. And until their storylines and their characters, I should say, have some more layers to them, and we know what they're about and who they are. Does that make sense? Because not all of them have what Jericho and Cody, Moxley all have. We know who they are, what their characters are, what they're about. A newer fan, I know the Young Bucks about. The newer fans to this show may not.
But it's up to the wrestlers too to work more on, because you look at MJF, he presents himself like a star.
How did I miss that? That's probably the best example, actually. Yeah.
I mean, he just carries himself. Everything about him screams star. To where his match with Hangman Page, we'll get to it, but it was very average. But he comes across as a superstar at the end of that segment.
And this is
it doesn't matter how the match was.
There's a lot that's coming up that we're going to talk about that. But one thing I do want to say is when they flashed that win-loss record for the women's division, tonight it just looked like number soup on there. I mean, no one, correct me if I'm wrong, but did anyone clearly have?
I want to know why Britt Baker's tag team numbers don't move her ahead of this girl who's 4-1, and I think Britt Baker had 2, something like that, where her tag team, she's like 6-3.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why doesn't that get her in for? I don't know.
That just doesn't even seem that impressive, but maybe part of that's the WWE mentality where someone's just undefeated until they aren't undefeated.
We got to give them credit, though, because we do want wins and losses to matter. We've been saying it for years. They're going to try to market it. I like that, but they're still got to figure it out because no one's done it before, really, right? No, nobody.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I love the idea. It's just they're beating too many of the top guys, and to where the records don't seem impressive, to where no one's standing out except for Moxley and Jericho.
Do you think, though, also it's a way people have selective memory? People praise each of us on this podcast even on the times that we're right? Like, you called it, you predicted it. But we don't publish a scorecard every week of, like, here's the times you were right and here's the times you were wrong. So I think people remember the big wins. I think some challengers for the title, some contenders would be more credible if you're actually not looking at the record. You're just remembering the hot streak they've been on or the big wins they pulled off.
Or like Keith Lee the other night, for instance, what was it, Survivor Series? He did not win, but he got over the end of that Survivor Series match, right?
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on that one loss being in that category, if we're talking about him, let's say, for example, on AEW, if that all happened on AEW, we should have been focused on the highlight reel they throw. And like, this dude almost won. What a star-making moment. Blah 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 blah. That should be the takeaway, and that is what WWE tries to do. And that is where a win-loss record on TV and flashing it could hurt at times. But again, they're figuring it out, and I still say we gotta continue to give them credit for it because they're not backing away from it. They got to, again. I just think it's the wrong people. Badgers Brown. Thank you.
Could you imagine every time you had an argument with a coworker or with your wife, with your spouse, your girlfriend? Could you imagine if every time you had an argument, you said, "I know I'm right," and your win-loss record flashed for the times you were right versus times you were wrong? It's like no one would ever believe you.
If she walked out here, I would say it too. I swear to God, I'd be like 50-0, Matt.
Yeah, I'd memorize that win-loss record for sure.
You keep like a spreadsheet, or it's just all by memory,
There's no way in hell she could hear that. Right?
Yeah.
One thing this week, Cody Rhodes did say that the win-loss records do reset at the end of the year. So in January, they're going to reset. That's the current plan.
Wait, what? I didn't know this. Say that again.
Yeah, Cody said that. If you look it up, Wrestling Inc., he talked about it. He said that the win-loss records in January will reset during a radio interview. Yeah.
So after that, we had.
Come on, that's hilarious. Whoever did with that.
After that, we had Cody make an appearance. Cody versus Matt Nix. Cody got a quick win via submission here. And after the match, he got on the mic and said, "MJF, we don't have to wait. Let's do this right here." But then up from underneath the ring came the Blade, the Butcher, and Ali as the Bunny. Commentary, I don't know if commentary made this better or worse, but this was the time when I said, I take back every bad word I said about the Dark Order. That's not the worst gimmick in professional wrestling. I thought this looked so hokey tonight. This looks so terrible. Except one dude had a monocle, and respect. I dig the monocle. But still, this was terrible.
What's a monocle?
Monocle, like Monopoly Man. The little eye piece.
Is that what that gimmick in the eye is? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that was brutal.
It sucked. And, I thought after the Dark Order, they wouldn't be doing that,
Can I, real quick, right, guys, can I just say one thing real quick? I get we got to wait to see Cody get his hands on, to get it, serve MJF his comeuppance. I get it. But you've now introduced two new characters by intertwining them in this stuff between Cody Rhodes and MJF. Meaning, well, isn't that the best way to get somebody over, by having to go right to the top and work, do something again? Yes, when it's going to be an angle. Not when they're not going to have anything to do with that angle. And that's just a way to get them on TV. I think that hurts, actually.
Yeah, because, Braxton Sutter and Andy Williams, who's, I'm forgetting which one is, but that he's Blade.
Who the hell's Andy Williams, though?
The singer?
He's been wrestling for a long time.
What's the wrestling names, I'm asking?
I just know him from Andy Williams.
What company?
Braxton Sutter was Pepper Parks. He's done a lot of indie stuff.
I don't think he's Braxton. I know. I like him.
Yeah.
I'm not excited for him with his gimmick he had tonight, but still.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny. That sounds like if you're making a wrestling themed episode of some show, and the guy doesn't watch wrestling and is like making up wrestler names, and that's what he would come up with. It's the most generic. Crappy, but people making fun of wrestling, that's what they would name wrestlers in a script. So I thought this was just a big miss all around. But those guys are really good once they wrestle. We'll see. Because
Braxton Sutter can go. He's a really good worker.
Yeah. But they say, you only have one chance to make a first impression. We saw with the Dark Order. It hurt them with that crappy debut.
Meltdown 142 is blowing my mind. I Googled it. The Monopoly Man never had a monocle. It was Mr. Peanut, who's famous for wearing a monocle.
Time out.
What?
I'm positive there's a Monopoly Man card, that you get when you're playing and when you land on community chest, right?
Yeah.
That dude has a monocle on one of those damn cards.
It might not be the actual Monopoly Man, though, who has the monocle. But, yeah, Mr. Peanut does. Now, they both wear top hats and have canes.
No, I know the difference.
No, he wore a monocle. I got it here. I got an image.
I googled it. There's literally an article. Monopoly Man never wore a monocle.
Unless they drew it on.
Yeah. No, I see the podcast thing. That looks drawn on. Who knows? Wow, mine's blown tonight on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Anyhow, better this conversation, better than that gimmick we saw debut tonight. And they just took the Dark Order out of the toilet last week with that promo.
Yes.
Tonight's promo, not as good as last week, but still good.
Still
like
good.
They've shown this is how you introduce new characters. I think when you have a surprise like that, it should be a big name. Somebody, everyone's going to go, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah, it's because you don't give the fans a chance to hear that weird, uncomfortable noise that we heard tonight. I felt bad for those talents.
They looked like they were going to like a weird Eyes Wide Shut sort of BDSM costume party. It was very and not a good one, like a sad one. It was very uncomfortable for everyone.
Yeah, Glenn, to your point, either a big name or you got to be like 8 feet tall or really stand out.
Yes,
like
that's exactly how it happens. Yep, the debut of Big Mon. Like, what's his name? That was okay. What was the guy that came out with MJF 2 weeks ago?
Wardlow. Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
But then that should have been it. Nobody else should be touching Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, too many people beating down Cody Rhodes right now. It's getting kind of comical.
Then Pac versus Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega getting a win.
This was a great match. What are we
talking
about here? This was a freaking awesome match.
That match was great.
You know,
it was.
What do you do here, though? They book themselves into a corner because Kenny cannot have another loss. And Pac, we're going to Pac, still should be damn near undefeated, though. So what do you do?
Yeah, you don't book this match. You should book Kenny Omega against someone else and Pac against someone else and have them both get wins, even if it's enhancement guys.
Yes.
Again, you're booking everyone to be 50-50, then the win-loss records ultimately don't do any good. If you watch football, even if you're not following two teams, if you got two teams that are, have almost undefeated towards the end of the season, they face each other, you're watching that. But if you're watching two teams that have won half their games, lost half their games, it's not near as intriguing. So.
Yeah. No, and that's my take on it. This is an amazing match, but to be fair, this is the same sort of thing we criticize WWE for, where you'll put someone like Ricochet of the Revival, like Ricochet versus Cesaro, and it's a fantastic match, but why in the heck are they having this match? Why is this still going on? What's the story with it? I know Omega needed to get a win here. But yeah, this feels like a very, very good exhibition of wrestling talent and nothing more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kenny feels like less of a star right now than in years, and I feel like they need to work on that.
He does a little bit to himself too.
Yeah,
he does. He hurts himself at times.
And then MJF with Wardlow versus Adam Page, the winner receiving an AEW Diamond Ring. I'm surprised this match didn't go on longer, but I guess it did what it needed to do with MJF picking up the win with the Crossroads.
Which was a nice touch, I thought. I thought that was a real nice touch. Good attention to detail, good heat behind it. Mm-hmm. This was good. And this is, you know what, Glenn? That girls' match should have went shorter.
Yeah, I absolutely. And it's rare for me to say a women's match should be given less time, but given the state of the division, I would have skipped having the women on tonight. I would have done 2 really good promos to build up a big women's match for next week.
Yes.
I would
rather than that tonight.
Or have another match. I don't think this needed to go any longer because it wasn't really that good. MJF is a great character in the ring. He's good. He's fine. He doesn't need to be great in the ring. Roddy Piper, I can count the number of great matches he had on one hand. When you've got that personality, you don't need to have great in-ring work. And
Roddy sold the majority of his matches. Like most of his matches versus Hogan and whomever, were a non-stop babyface comeback. Like if you go back and watch, I'm like, damn, it's like backwards. Usually the babyface is supposed to be on the cell, getting sympathy for the majority of the match. But Piper would kind of reverse it in a way, and you'd get your money's worth if you bought a ticket. But you didn't really fully get it because he would never do the job. He'd get counted out or something like that, Orndorff would come in and screw everything, Yeah. But anyways, with this, let's not undervalue him in the ring. MJF is good in the ring. He's not solid. He's good in the ring, I would say. His psychology is good. He generally works a body part. But most importantly, importantly, the thing I know you care most about, Raj, is he makes you hate him. He, you know what I mean? He plays with the fans. He plays with the camera. Plays to the camera, I should say, and he uses it all to his advantage. And doing the end all be all, get over, make us want to pay money to see Cody Rhodes beat his ass, and then he puts his finishing move on one of the guys that we're supposed to like a lot. On top of it, you know what I mean? We should hate him even more.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of my point is with this match, it didn't have a bunch of false finishes, a bunch of kicking out at 2.
No.
Right, no flips, no nothing, and he got more over after it. He kept building on his character.
He knows how to work. There's a misconception that when we say that term, he or she knows how to work, that people nowadays assume that means super athletic, 100 miles an hour, do crazy high-risk maneuvers, which are super entertaining to me, by the way. But still, that doesn't mean that person knows how to work, okay? What people know how to work means to get the most out of sometimes doing the less. Less is more in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And guys that can work, like Jericho is the best example of that. You milk every single moment for what it's worth. Every minute for what it's worth, even. And MJF gets that at 23 or whatever, 20, how old?
Yeah, maybe he's 24 now. I don't know.
I can't begin to tell you how crazy that is. What have I always told you guys? As a man or a woman, you got to figure out who you are as that woman and man in real life first. Then you get to figure out who you are as that persona and character. Unless they give you, like me, a starter character or a definitive character that you're supposed to be acting and playing, then that's different. But people like The Rock, Stone Cold, they're who they are, dialed way the F up. You have to figure out who you are in real life first. I've been telling you guys that for years. This dude's doing it at 23.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Would you know how crazy he's gonna be at 40? Like the talent, like I can't even imagine how good he's gonna be.
I think he'll probably be. He could very well be one that he could be like Jericho.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I've never felt so old as Googling that and realizing that MJF is 20 years and 2 weeks younger than I am.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
It's nuts.
Yeah. I mean, for a kid, this guy's got more confidence than most people I know in the late stages of life.
And he's also sorry, go ahead.
No. Yeah. I mean, he's amazing.
And he's also with the old school mentality as far as cutting promos, working on character. He's also working on his physique too. He
looks great.
Yeah, he looks awesome.
I saw him on some still shot. I thought of him like flexing. I was like, I didn't notice that. This week I was paying closer attention. Like, dude, he got shredded.
Yeah.
He looks the part, man.
After the match, and Wardlow didn't interfere in that match, distracted Adam Page quite a bit, which contributed to MJF's ability to win. Great dynamic between the two post-match. Diamond Dallas Page came out to the ring to present the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring to MJF. They exchanged words. MJF put the ring on his finger. Diamond Dallas Page went to shake his hand. MJF put his gum in DDP's hand.
I love that.
Yeah, they were facing off and then faced off with Wardlow. And we got just a mini brawl. Referee and securities got involved before really much happened. And this was a great segment. I mean, this is certainly going to be in MJF's highlight reel for the near future, along with his betrayal of Cody. He's just racking up memorable TV moments.
I hope they have an idea for this diamond ring because it seems so random. Like
it totally does. It's like somebody's friends with a jeweler. It totally just feels that way.
Yeah, it should be sponsored by Zales. I mean, or some gimmicky thing,
There's something there, yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it unless there's some clever twist coming up that it'll all pay off. One thing we didn't mention was that Justin Roberts was injured in that opening segment, and Dasha Fuentes took over.
That's true.
I think they called her Dasha Fuentes, didn't they?
Wait, was he injured in real life?
No, it was just as part of the angle. But Dasha, her real name is Dasha Gonzalez, so Dasha Fuentes was her WWE name. So maybe they didn't call her that, and I just imagined it. But yeah,
maybe. Like somebody says, the chat room swears when I referred to the Lucha Brothers earlier, I called them the Blue Chew Brothers. That's on you guys. I did not say that.
Yeah.
You just heard what you wanted to hear. Anyhow, after this segment, we got Dustin Rhodes in the ring talking to Jennifer Decker. Members of the Inner Circle got in the ring, tried to take down Dustin. Matt Jackson came out To his defense, Nick Jackson came out and setting up a match with the Inner Circle and the Bucks and Dustin for next week's episode of Dynamite. Dark Order promo tonight. We got a look at that same random guy from last week, seeing a Dark Order flyer, taking the pull tab from the flyer and going to a group meeting with the Dark Order, where we got to see some of the members unmasked. They had elements of last week's promo, similar visuals, imagery, kind of a bit of a balance, right? In terms of,
I thought this was good though.
I liked it. I would have liked this to have been week 3. I would have liked one more promo, kind of like last week's, and then see the meeting tonight. I thought the fact the meeting was in a basement to me just seemed kind of like, okay.
Where else would it be?
I don't know, headquarters.
Where do you want it to be?
That would have been awesome if it was at a hotel, like my self-help idea. Like if they were going to like a Tony Robbins seminar at the airport Marriott. Minor note. That aside, this was good. I'm turning the corner on the Dark Order. I kind of like the gimmick now.
I like these videos. They're creepy. They're interesting, and
they hold your attention. You got to admit it. They do.
Yeah. You don't feel like turning the channel. You're like, what? What? It's kind of like not near as good as the Firefly Funhouse, but kind of similar to that same kind of reaction.
Well, it's the same idea, right? If Bray Wyatt would have debuted his new version of the character with doing in-ring stuff in The Fiend, I think without the Firefly Funhouse build, it would have gone over probably the same as the last Bray Wyatt push. Not as well. So promos, man. Promos can be awesome. Chris Jericho defending his AEW World Championship against Scorpio Sky in the main event tonight.
What about it?
They said the match had a 60-minute time limit. If it goes over, we're going to go to YouTube. You're going to be able to watch it online. I like that bit of misdirection.
I like that too.
I love that too. It makes it, because when it's always ending 2 minutes right before the show ends, right? It makes it seem more like a shoot. I think they should do that a couple times where they have it go to YouTube.
Yep.
So what do you think of the match itself, Matt?
Well, it served its supposed purpose, right?
Yeah, I thought Scorpio could have looked a little.
Yeah, the only thing is, I thought that they were going to take this to make him tonight. I really did, but they're not ready to pull him out of that 3-man group yet. It's the only thing I could take from it.
I kind of thought, kind of similar to the MJF thing, that the match itself was whatever it was, but because Jericho's such a personality, that I liked it. I was entertained by it. It wasn't a 5-star spectacular or anything like that, but it served, like you said, Matt, it served its purpose. And Scorpio Sky, he is in a tag team. This is just a quick get him elevated a little bit, not really bring him up to the, he's not ready for the main event scene yet. Just kind of give him a little bit, get him more well known, and down the line when he is, this is all part of that. Building a wrestler.
That promo though he cut on Jericho at the end of that in-ring last week was awesome. Mm-hmm. His confidence he had looking at Jericho and staring him down while he did his promo like that, right in his grill. Mm-hmm. That's a main event confident promo that he cut. So I was hoping that, maybe this is where they, pull the veil back and get him out of that 3-man group and get him into a singles act, maybe. You know what I mean? But then I saw the time limit left and whatnot. I was like, damn, man, they're going to drop him out.
Yeah, pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, they built it really credibly, where I think, I'm not saying they didn't do right by him, but I think that I expected more for him tonight.
And they're supposed to be reacting. That's what this company, and they do this, by the way, normally. They do react to what's happening currently. If something catches fire, their gimmick is that we're going to then push that, whatever that something is. I thought they caught it with that end of that promo when they were goofing around and, going back and forth with setting Jericho up to make it for the title, to make Jericho say, you don't want a title? Fine, you know what?
Yeah.
It is a title shot. All right.
Yeah.
But then he stopped all of that and got right in his grill and cut. I thought, no joke, a super confident main event level, confident type of promo that you would see somebody who's generally a main eventer do. Like, he wasn't just staring at him in the eye. He was like looking up and down his face, just like centimeters away. And if you go back and you watch like Stone Cold and Rock and stuff like that, that's what they used to do to one another. The confidence was super strong in them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying. I'm sorry, Rush.
And as someone in the comments pointed out, Scorpio Sky's come a long way from being heralded in the Daniel Bryan and Kane segments, in those anger management
Even
segments.
then, that people used to say, because I didn't know who he was, and I heard about him that way. They're like, dude, he's really good. That's what everyone used to say about him.
Mm-hmm.
I think last week the build and the tease, the build for this main event match, the build for the Thanksgiving festival night was so good last week. It was almost hard not to be disappointed by the execution of one, if not both. I thought the opening festival, I would say, was maybe 80% of its potential for what it could have been. But I thought this main event for Scorpio, I'm not saying he had to win, but I felt like he could have looked a little more competitive in that match.
If that's what their plan is to pull him out and make, but that's not the plan. The plan is to keep him in that trio. So therefore, this is okay.
Yeah,
so this doesn't hurt him. We saw the glimpses that we needed to see, and that they do with tag team wrestlers every once in a while. They give us that little glimpse, that little tease of, oh, that's the one of the group that's going to be a main event talent singles act one day. I'm going to follow him. Yeah. And then give it 6 months to a year, and maybe we'll get it.
And then in every podcast, Raj is going to be saying, like Big E, soon he's going to get a singles run. They're going to turn him heel.
Big E is one of that group too, by the way. Yes.
Yeah, keep waiting on those.
And Jake Hager did, he did come out to interfere and help Jericho a little bit, but yeah, it was all about John Moxley coming out at the end.
John Moxley, sometimes he has that look, like that Nick Nolte look, like he's just been on a 3-day bender and is just stumbling to the ring.
I love that look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we went off the air with that tonight, him coming down the steps, facing off with Jericho. So, I mean, I don't know when we're going to get that match, maybe sooner rather than later. But I thought it was a good note to go out on.
I mean, make people pay to see that.
Yeah, that's a pay-per-view match for sure.
Make people pay to see that.
And Cody did say their next pay-per-view announcement, they're going to be announcing that in the next couple of weeks. So, maybe next week they announce that's the main event of the next pay-per-view and put tickets on sale. Yeah,
what do you think, January?
I would probably guess February, kind of do it away from the Royal Rumble. Well, I guess they did it with Survivor Series this time, so they could.
Let's talk about NXT tonight and their follow-up to what happened at War Games and Survivor Series over the weekend. So we opened with like a curtain call, right, with the entire roster coming out and a song. I believe it was the same one that was Josiah Williams, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And he posted a version of that song over the weekend on Twitter. I really like that celebratory feeling they had coming out, and I thought it was interesting how quickly they cut it off with Undisputed Era interrupting and saying, "Hey, yeah."
Good.
But I don't know. I mean, didn't that feel like a good moment though, Matt? They were out there in the crowd. The full sale was up. I mean, I thought it opened so big for a Full Sail show.
It was awesome, and it was even more awesome that it got cut off, and they used it to get them some steam. I thought that was so diggy because that was all of us. I got fish hooked on that.
Yeah, and that was a cool opening segment. I really like this one. It was one of the better non-wrestling opening NXT segments. If it's not the only one, I can't remember the last time they started off with a segment, as opposed to a match.
Well, they've had earlier today. Somebody got attacked.
Yeah, but I mean, like with the whole 15 minutes is, not a match.
Yeah. So we had Undisputed Era out there, and then in the ring we had Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, and Dominic Dijakovic. Cole went on about how the success of the weekend was due to the Undisputed Era. He says, none of you are NXT. None of you are accomplished anything this weekend. The Undisputed Era is NXT, and because of NXT, it's because of NXT that, he was just interrupted by "You suck" chants during this. I was actually surprised to see them getting so booed inside Full Sail. Cole calling himself the Iron Man of this brand, and that Fish and O'Reilly will successfully defend their NXT tag team titles tonight because that's what they do. And Ciampa then retorted, touting the War Games win, saying it's just the beginning of the end for the Undisputed Era. And then we ended up getting a match, but first Finn Balor came out, hit the stage in the setup, Finn versus Ciampa for later in the evening. And yeah, this was a hell of an opening to have, as Raj said, this was very different. This much promo time tonight.
Huge transition just took place. NXT just got pulled up to the same level as Raw and SmackDown by winning Survivor Series. It should start this way.
Yeah.
And not to mention the show itself having some momentum after winning last week,
Mm-hmm. Oh, that too, yeah.
Beating AEW for the first time. This is the first show after. I don't think it's going to happen again this week, but we'll see.
No, hell no. That first, I'm very interested to see that number of AEW this week with the first half hour rating.
Plus, also building up to a world title match. I think AEW wins. At least they're going to win huge in the demo. They were trending on Twitter all night. NXT was not. And the Twitter, I know it sounds silly.
Wait, what?
AEW was trending on Twitter. It trends every week on Twitter. Whereas
NXT trend?
Often it doesn't. Or a segment here or there will. Bobby Fish trended tonight. Mansoor trended, but not NXT itself.
Huh.
At least not much.
I mean, I'm seeing right now on the trends, it's showing me. Let me find the rankings. Talk about this match, Raj.
The tag match?
Yeah.
So it's a tag team title match. At one point, Adam Cole was going to the back. Keith Lee, I just pounced him into the crowd. That was the most insane spot. If you haven't seen this, go out of your way to look for it. He pounced Cole into the crowd. Cole flew over the barrier into the crowd. It was insane. Dijakovic was looking on, and the Undisputed Era got the win. But during the commercial break, Bobby Fish got injured. And so when they came back, all of a sudden, I'm going to steal one of your words, Matt, Homeboy. Homeboy stepped in for Bobby Fish.
Have you guys found that through this podcast, Matt? I found that I'm starting to use some of your lexicon in day-to-day conversation. I'm referring to things as like a nasty spot, saying like homeboy and homegirl. Yeah. The influence, man.
Oh, boy.
So it started off with Fish and O'Reilly.
I called someone old. I first was an old girl the other day, and I was like, "That, yeah, that's like a huge Matt Morganism. That's where I got it from." Yeah.
Roderick Strong. So anyway, Roderick Strong filled in. So they got the win after an assist from Adam Cole. But a really good opener. Dijakovic. Once he pieces it together, once he gets the personality part down, he's going to be a major star.
He will. He needs it. I hope they give him the time to develop it.
Yeah.
He needs it.
I'm looking at the trends. I can't see empirically, but the numbers it's showing me is like NXT, Moxley, Dark Order. So yeah, NXT itself is trending, but AEW has Moxley, Dark Order, even the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. They have more trends in there. Although strangely, guys, both of them are getting a lot of competition tonight from the trending Charlie Brown Christmas special and Peppermint Patty. So
wow.
See how that affects the ratings. I thought, man, that Keith Lee Adam Cole spot, like, if you don't watch anything else tonight, you have to see that GIF. I retweeted it. A lot of people did. Just Adam Cole just shot into the crowd. It was impressive as hell.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll have an update on Bobby Fish soon, but he was legitimately injured. That wasn't storyline.
Wow. So Undisputed Era still won that match tonight, retained the NXT Tag Team Championships. And then we saw Kathy Kelly backstage with Candice LeRae. She talked about what happened with Dakota Kai, setting up a match with them for later in the evening. And then Shane Thorne versus Mansoor. Mansoor, this was not his first match on NXT TV, correct? But it's been a while.
I thought it was. This wasn't?
Isn't his first one since that, what do you call it, show?
The Saudi show against Cesaro?
I thought so.
It is. I didn't think he had wrestled on TV before. I could be wrong.
Maybe it was on the network. I'll Google that while you talk about this.
Okay. No, I thought Mansoor, he showed a lot of fire. He's got a ton of potential. I thought he looked really good.
Yeah, this is all right.
Yeah, I mean, as a match itself, it was fine, but I think Mansoor's got a ton of potential.
He was on NXT February 6th, and he was defeated in that. So, yes, it's the first time on network television.
Both these guys I don't care about, though.
Yeah, it is what it is. Let's talk about Candice LeRae versus Dakota Kai. They are keeping with Dakota Kai heel train in full steam. Tegan Nox tweeted earlier that, like, mentally, emotionally, physically, she needs a break due to Dakota turning on her. Dakota came out tonight with Tegan Nox's knee brace. These two had a competitive match before Dakota got disqualified. How do you think, Matt, they did tonight in serving the women's storylines in particular? I mean, they really stole the show at War Games. They've had an amazing build up to this, but, felt like tonight, I don't know.
There's a little fizzle there. There's fizzle here. She should have been in a match in which she just annihilated somebody for 20 seconds, if that, and then got on the mic and said something about what just took place.
Yeah,
that was more important, is that we hear from her.
Yeah, or she just beats the crap out of someone. She just attacks someone,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just something. When you just have a big heel turn and have just a long match with no story the next night, it just kind of took that buzz away.
And not win, more importantly.
Yeah, it was long.
She needed a dominant win, like again, a squash match, and then get on the stick immediately and explain her actions. Or make us wait a little bit. About to talk. So you all want to hear about what happened, blah, 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 why I did what I did? Keep waiting. Drop the whatever, some shit.
Something. And then just beat the crap out of her afterwards, her opponent that she just beat.
Yes.
So,
she went to get a skill.
Yeah, someone in the comments is saying you can't bury Candice. Yeah, she shouldn't have wrestled Candice.
She shouldn't be wrestling Candice, genius. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Not you.
So Dakota Kai grabbed a steel chair after, but Rhea Ripley ran down, knocked out of her hand. Fans popped massively for Ripley. She was getting chants while she was checking on Candice LeRae. We had the NXT Cruiserweight title match. So Raj almost tweeted, man, you said there was going to be no more cross-brand action, but Akira Tozawa from Raw out there tonight representing.
Raw's own. The invasion continues.
One-man invasion.
Tozawa invading NXT tonight.
I mean, good for Leo. I feel though, man, they're giving him these. What's that?
Really quick, Glenn. Raj, did you make that a headline on your site?
NXT invaded again.
Yeah, Raw invades NXT
by
tonight.
Top Raw star.
No, by Top Raw. Yeah.
There's got to be a site out there that's got
former title holder invades NXT.
Former champion.
Stooge site will totally do that. Dude, that's what they do. And they don't do that crap on Wrestling Inc., folks. How about that?
Sometimes I just need the headline. Just give me the story in the headline. Don't make me read the article and figure out what it is you're talking about.
That does us no good.
I fell for clickbait the other day. Matt, you can appreciate this. You're close to Disney. Someone was like, Disney's Galaxy's Edge is closing, ... And I was like, what? I reread the article. It's like, it's closing down early for a media preview of the new ride. And it was like, why did I click the article? Why did I fall for this? Clickbait again.
I like your reaction to it, though.
Yeah. It got my attention. It was a provocative headline. But no, look, I love Leo Rush. I think it's great he's getting these matches, these showcases, and the matches are great. But man, we need a storyline here.
Has he been talking?
No,
not really.
No.
And he's a great talker.
Yeah.
And he can be a super annoying guy, as we saw with Lashley. He should be a heel, not a babyface.
I was just going to say, do you think that's why they don't let him talk? Because he is so good at getting heat, and he is dicky. And do you know what I mean? Does he maybe not know how to? I would imagine. He's that good of a talker. I'm sure he's not good at a babyface promo.
Yeah, I'm sure. And he did do that backstage segment with Garza.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
something a little bit more. But this match tonight, and I don't want them to run it into the ground. I feel like he's getting so many title defenses. I'm trying to think, what other belts been defended this much on TV in recent memory? Doesn't it seem like he's had quite a few of these?
Not that it's sticking out to me. I'm sure he has if you're saying it, but I haven't noticed it.
If you're counting Survivor Series, then I guess it's a few. But just NXT, I think this is only the second, right? Outside of him winning.
Didn't he defend it against Angel Garza before? I don't know. Maybe there was more than that. I want the best for him. I want them to do more with him. But hey, TV time for Leo is a great thing. After the match, he took the title, got to his feet as the music hits. He retained here. We had Finn Balor backstage building up the main event tonight with Tommaso Ciampa, saying that he's living in his world and it's a dark place. And he talked about taking out Johnny Gargano and Matt Riddle and says tonight it'll be Ciampa's turn. Then we had Xia Li versus Vanessa Bourne with Lee picking up pretty easy victory. Shayna Baszler, Marina Shafir, and Jessamine Duke came out to watch this match. And after Shayna went into the ring, or sent the horsewoman into the ring, rather, Lee ended up fighting them. Shayna enters the ring, drops Lee. Lee came back and loaded on Baszler to drop her. Lee fought off Shafir and Duke. And I was really wondering where they were going with this. Shayna started cutting that promo about beating Becky Lynch and Bayley at the same time. Fans were chanting for Rhea. Rhea came out, said the line I think we all knew was coming, that she beat Becky, she beat Bayley, but she didn't beat her. Really setting up the title opportunity, the title match for these two. But in a total tease move, they didn't announce when and where it's going to happen.
This is the only thing that really could happen now, right? Got the rocket attached to the girl, Rhea.
Yeah.
This kind of felt like it had to happen.
Well, and it's kind of like Rhea giving the rub to Xia Li a little bit.
You think so?
Kind of. I mean, just her, because Xia Li she's getting over. All right,
she is.
She's and I felt like that's why you put Rhea Ripley out there with her, because just kind of add a little extra momentum, show that she's important. And I thought that's really all this was.
So when do they do it? When do they do this match?
Well, it's February, right? Is the next pay-per-view. That's a long ways.
Time.
So then that's good. Then they did the right thing here.
Yeah, so you built a long build, when you finally get there. There are times when you wait too long, but February isn't that long. It's already December in a few days.
And they have not told us the date yet.
They did. February 16th.
I thought you just said they didn't say.
No, they said the
not
date
for the match,
takeover.
but the pay-per-view. Yeah.
No, I'm saying for the match, though. They've not confirmed that.
Right.
The match. So this doesn't count as a week as part of the bill, in my opinion. I think once they announce the date of that match, then you start counting that build, even though this is the precursor of that build. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and they probably should.
It's like 6 weeks. It's a difference.
Yeah, I think they should wait till like January before announcing anything. Otherwise, it could be too long.
Exactly.
We'll see how they maintain it. I want to see more story, but that's Mount, like we were talking about earlier. I think they did so much with the women and served them so well in the build to this. It's like this was like the refraction period, to borrow a phrase, a lot of tonight, right? It was like, okay, now we're going to take a moment, we're going to reflect, we're going to figure out where we go next.
Sure, a lot just happened,
It was an insane week for NXT last week.
Whirlwind.
We had what's that?
Whirlwind.
Yeah. I mean, a phenomenal week. And maybe that's how I'm feeling about this, is they had such a good week last week. It's almost impossible to follow that up.
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping tonight they did. And in certain aspects they did, right? Beginning of the show was cool, right? Some of the matches on there were cool, but I do think they made a couple mistakes.
Yeah. And it's tough, right? I mean, there's no playbook for the territory NXT is in right now.
Well, now they're back to NXT. There's no longer Raw and SmackDown. What part of what
Akira Tozawa invasion?
Outside of the Akira Tozawa invasion. Last week there was that was one of the hottest shows they had, but you had half of the main roster, or half of the Raw and SmackDown guys on there. They're coming off a big win at Survivor Series and a hot takeover event, but now they're back to NXT, and we'll see where they fall. But it definitely felt like after that opening segment, it was starting to get back to where they've been.
I could see this. I'm sorry. JJB Gaming is pointing out NXT women will be in the Rumble. They've had people in the Rumble. I could see them making a bigger deal out of that this year, and maybe building towards that a bit before really going full on the gas to take over in February.
Yeah, I could see them saying the same thing as Survivor Series, where it's like this year it'll be Raw, SmackDown, and NXT in both, and I think it'll make it more exciting.
Definitely. Tommaso Ciampa versus, and I feel bad after hearing Mauro say it. I've been saying Ciampa for like 3 years. Tommaso Ciampa.
I say Ciampa too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mauro, I just over the weekend, Ciampa. Now I'm thinking Ciampa. Versus Finn Balor tonight. This was a good match. Good match to end the show with. Had a lot going on. Good exhibition. Finn Balor getting the win in this. What do you think? Well, it's kind of a similar question, right? So Adam Cole came to the ring after. He was there. He was confronting Finn. Finn took out Cole and Ciampa again. Yeah, I'm the same thing. Like, when are they? I could see them almost doing this match on TV, but it seems to make sense. This should headline the next takeover.
A triple threat.
Oh, that's an idea. That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, actually, that'd be great. Actually,
Yeah.
It really would. Ciampa could take an L and it wouldn't hurt. Because what's his name cannot lose still.
Finn?
Adam Cole. I
Oh.
just feel he can't lose yet.
the belt. You mean
Yeah, right? He can't lose the belt yet. Am I crazy for thinking that? I know. I mean, put the belt on Finn.
I mean, I don't think it does much for Finn unless the plan is to have someone else beat him down the line, and they want. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I just feel like Ciampa is. I don't think he's going to get bigger off of the win. He might. I mean, that would blow the roof off that place, but I would hold that off until the WrestleMania takeover, assuming they do win there.
I like tonight with him yelling out, he was stomping on Finn, yelling out, "This is for Johnny." One, it makes me think of the Outsiders. Two, that I like that this idea of Ciampa and Gargano coming back together.
They've been together.
No, but I mean, they've been friendly, but maybe as a team.
I like Ciampa as a singles act. I think he's more than capable to be a big time singles act. You know, I'm not a big Gargano fan. I'm not a fan of Ciampa and the tag team. I think he's improved so much. You know, that heel run he had as champion was unreal. Unreal. Silence. He has the only one I've seen walk through that arena and get legit heat with those NXT fans. That is not easy to do.
Yeah. So Keith Hellebrand asking, how long does Cole hold the title for?
I think WrestleMania takeover and have Ciampa beat him.
I could see all of Undisputed Era losing their titles in one night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was NXT. That was AEW Dynamite. As we talk about it, maybe it's just because this is like our 5th podcast in 6 days.
And you know what? None of the shows in that period have been bad. There's been
this was really good.
Yeah, the fact that I thought tonight's NXT was fine, but that just shows like how good this week has been, because it was still a good show.
I would say last Wednesday to tonight, I'm including AEW in this. This has been like the best 7-day period of wrestling in terms of consistent quality in recent memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raw. I thought Raw was good. This was good. SmackDown was better than usual. Survivor Series was better than I expected. Takeover, yeah, I agree. AEW was good.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I thought it was one of the weaker episodes, that just shows how good their shows have been, in my opinion, because I thought it was freaking still really good.
Gentleman Paul Plan. Now you can go to sleep, Matt.
Please.
So Thanksgiving. How late do you sleep in on Thanksgiving Day?
I gotta get up early with
Oh, that's right. Parenting.
And we go downtown and we feed a homeless.
It's very nice.
It's my first time taking Jackson with us this time.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
That's fantastic.
And let's run through these news items real quick. Corey Graves was not on. Mauro Ranallo was not on tonight. He was supposed to be. They had announced that he would be. That tweet that Corey Graves had sent over the weekend. Now Corey is kind of saying that it was meant to play off of the brand versus brand deal, and he was going to joke about it with Mauro at the Survivor Series. And obviously, I think most people that saw that tweet didn't take it as a build for Survivor Series.
That was very good, quick thinking on Corey's part, though, to try to say that. That is pretty quick thinking. You gotta give him credit for that. But ain't nobody buying it.
Yeah. He apologized as well on his podcast.
Sorry, it's just shitty defense. It's like you have like your friend or like your wife call you out on something. You're like, oh no, hon, I was kidding. Sometimes I do this character, and the character's an asshole, but I do it to be funny. I wasn't being real. Yeah, it's just that's weak, Corey.
Yeah, no points there.
Yeah.
But Corey said, this past Saturday during TakeOver, I sent out a tweet. It was an unpopular opinion, and as often I do with the intention of just stirring up a little controversy, maybe have something fun to talk about on TV here or on the show. It was maybe not the most professional way to go about doing things, and it was never meant to offend or disrespect or disparage anybody. That was never my intention. If it was taken as such, I apologize deeply. That was not my intention. I would never intentionally cause anybody undue stress, especially a coworker, so I apologize. So there you go. They said
there's his apology.
Yeah, they said Ranallo will be back next week. Were you guys paying attention to Tom Phillips on NXT tonight?
No.
He was there. I thought actually he was good for Beth. Beth got a little more time to shine.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. They're saying Mauro will be back next week, but his Twitter's still deleted, and he's clearly still upset. And there we go. Also, Backstage, WWE Backstage last night. No CM Punk this week. They did have Triple H call in. Only did 121,000 viewers, so down 33% from last week, which did 180,000. This show is with Punk adds some interest. Without Punk, it's just dying on Tuesday nights. They got to move it to like after SmackDown on FS1.
I still like it. I do watch it and I like it. I watched the one with Hunter, and they were talking like they completely break kayfabe on it, completely. And I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. When I do watch it, I find it easy to sit through. I really like the episode that Punk was on because you could tell he was giving his real opinion. But that time slot just sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Tuesdays at 11 on FS1. You do it right after SmackDown. You could promote it off on SmackDown. Just switch over to FS1. Their Friday night ratings aren't good anyway. So anyway,
what else we got?
That is it.
Quickly, because I forgot to mention that I watched this over the weekend. If you are a wrestling fan, and if you're watching this podcast, I know you are, and you're looking for a movie to watch with your family this Thanksgiving, I watched The Peanut Butter Falcon over the weekend, and I have to say it's been a long time since I've seen a film with that much charm or that much heart. Mick Foley has a small role in it. Jake the Snake Roberts has a small role in it. It was absolutely fantastic. It's perfect for watching with your family. Definitely wanted to make sure to promote that to our fans here tonight because as a wrestling fan and a fan of just quality cinema, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
We'll be checking out The Irishman. Or The Irishman.
You gonna watch that with your kids?
Oh, maybe not with the kids. I'm watching that tonight. It's gonna be a long one.
You haven't? You guys are looking at me blank. You haven't heard about this movie, Peanut Butter Falcon?
Mm-mm.
It's about a young man with Down syndrome who escapes the home he lives in and befriends Shia LaBeouf. And,
I have heard about that. Yeah.
The kid wants to be a wrestler. That's his dream. He's a fan of this wrestler, the Saltwater Redneck, who he watches this old VHS tape of. And it's like this little buddy road movie where they're going to the Saltwater Rednecks wrestling school. It was so charming.
That's in theaters, right? They sent us a bunch of stuff for it. The theater. I mean the production company.
And it's available now. It's available. And the main actor co-star actually has Down syndrome. It was his dream to be in a film. He does a hell of a job. But yeah, if you're looking for something to watch with your family, it's got a bit of a wrestling bend to it. Highly recommend this Thanksgiving. He is at BP Matt Morgan. He's at Raj Giri _303. I'm at Glenn Rubenstein on Twitter. Greatly appreciate a follow. I'm not going to be here Friday, Monday, or next Wednesday, but stay tuned. I think Labar's filling in.
I'm filling in Friday, and yeah, Justin will be filling in, I think, on Monday.
Excellent.
Or he might not. It might just be me and Matt. So
cool. Well, everyone, have a great Thanksgiving. From all of us here at the Wrestling Inc. podcast, thank you for spending your Thanksgiving Eve with us, and we will catch you back here next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.
Happy Thanksgiving.